Hi, Rocio. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi,
Katrina.
Katrina.
Hi.
Nice to have you
Welcome.
on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And Katrina, we're here obviously to learn all about your story today. So, if I'm right, you're from Wales, is that right?
Yeah, I'm from South Wales in the UK.
Okay. Okay. And when when did you leave Wales? And did you leave on purpose, or were you just traveling, or what's the story behind it?
I guess the first time I left Wales was, oh my gosh, should making me go back. It's when I was at university. So
Mm,
I studied French and Spanish at university. And for those who don't know, in the UK, when you study languages, um, in order to graduate, you have to have spent a certain amount of time in a country that speaks that language.
right.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
Good
didn't
to
know
yeah,
know.
that.
yeah, yeah. It's usually in the third year of your degree.
Right.
So the first time I kind of went abroad by myself was the summer between second year and third year. So we're talking 2008,
Hmm.
summer 2008. So I was 20. And I went to live with a family in France for 3 months.
All right.
Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, it was tough. It was, the first time away from home in another country. Also, living with a family can be really hard because you have to like adapt to
Yes.
their lifestyle.
Yes. Depending on the family, that can be
Yeah,
really nice or really awkward. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so that it wasn't the best experience. But I learned a lot, and also from being away from home. It was also in quite a really quiet town. There weren't really many people my age because there was no university there. But I survived, and from there I went to work in a school in the Canary Islands.
Okay.
Um, yeah, which was fun, but I was 20 years old, and they didn't. I was supposed to be a language assistant, so this was through the British Council scheme that sends
Mm,
like young university students to other countries to work in schools as assistants. So we're not supposed to teach, but a lot of the time we're used as substitute teachers. And so there were a
yep.
couple of times I was kind of put in front of the class and go, okay, teach this. But these kids are like 18, 19, I'm 20. They don't respect me as a teacher. Um, and so that was really hard as well because it was like 8 or 9 months and I didn't get on with the girl I lived with. Um, and there were quite a lot of arguments and I ended up moving out and it was hard. Um, and it was a little bit disappointing as well because I was studying languages to become a teacher. And coming back from that experience, I was like, I'm never going to be a teacher. I can't work in a school. I can't work with teenagers. I can't work with children. I don't know what I'm going to do now, but I'm not doing that.
Must have been very hard. Being a young teacher with students almost your same age,
Yeah,
it can be
yeah,
Yeah.
very challenging, and they start to get into like a power struggle with the teacher. It's very common.
yeah, yeah. And so
And,
also,
and that must
I
have been
mean,
almost, I was going to say, it must have been almost heartbreaking to come home with that feeling of everything I've studied for, everything I've dreamed
yes,
of. Suddenly, I don't know what to do with it anymore. I don't know if I want to continue down this road, even.
yeah,
That
yeah,
would have been
yeah.
really hard for you.
It was really hard. So before I actually came back home, I did another 3 months in Nice, working in like a scuba diving center, and that was fun.
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, maybe I could, teach people how to scuba dive because I'd been doing it as a hobby, but I never really thought of it seriously because, like teachers, scuba dive instructors don't make a lot of money, but they do get to live
Yeah.
in nice places.
Beautiful places.
Yeah,
Easy
Yes.
going life.
yeah. So
Good.
So where are you right now, Katrina? Where do you live?
Right now, I live in Italy. I'm in a place called Abruzzo, which
Mhm.
is kind of in the center of Italy on
Oh,
the east, on the east side.
so how did you get there after your second experience in Nice, and how did you get to Italy? What brought you there, and how long after you had your first experiences abroad?
Yeah.
Okay, so I after Nice, I went back and I finished my degree and I finished university and I graduated. And not long after that, I moved to France to work in Disneyland Paris.
Wow.
All
I was
right.
not I was not a character. I was not in the parade. I was not dancing around. I was working in a shop
Okay.
in the Disney Village, and I stayed there for I think it was about 21 months, so nearly 2 years in
Wow.
total. I
Okay.
stayed
So
there.
even after those really tough first couple of experiences abroad, you were committed to going abroad and staying abroad and experiencing life overseas.
Oh yeah, I wanted out of the UK.
Yeah. Okay.
There was
Okay.
no way I was gonna stay there.
Right.
Okay, but
And
wait, this was in Paris, right? In Disney
We're,
Paris.
it's
we're,
on, yeah, it's on the
we're
outside
still in
outskirts.
France.
Yeah, it's on the
Oh,
outskirts
Good.
of Paris.
sounds
Good.
wonderful. How was it to work there? How's the experience? What is it hard, or is it like a dream job? Or are people nice, or are people horrible? Like they should be happy when
No,
they go to
yeah,
Disneyland.
they should be happy, but I just remember having like 1 year I had to work Christmas Day, and just like all the kids screaming and crying. I'm just thinking, you're in Disney on Christmas Day, shut up. Like so many kids have nothing on Christmas Day. I can't
Wow,
even see my
Yeah.
family on Christmas Day, and your parents take you to Disneyland.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And so you spent nearly 2 years there in Disneyland.
Yeah, I spent nearly 2 years there working in the shop. Then I worked in a Dolce Gabbana shop, and then from there, I left to go and meet my family in Dubai. And I stayed in Dubai for a few months, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life
Hmm.
because I was fed up of working in shops.
Yep.
Um,
I know
and
that
then
feeling.
yeah, I
That's
was just
Yep.
like,
Been
hard.
there and
I,
done that.
yeah,
Hard job.
I actually still wanted to be a teacher because I still wanted to be a teacher because the last year of university I did a TESOL course, and
Right.
so I was like, I before that I'd never thought about teaching like English to adults. I'd never seen that as a career option. I guess I just didn't really know it existed. And so when I came back and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? My career of like working in a high school is like
It's
in
been
ashes
shattered.
on the floor. Yeah, like do not resuscitate. Um, and so I took that course and I was like, hey, I can do this. I like it, but I didn't feel ready. Straight after university, I didn't feel ready
Hmm.
to go straight into teaching because I was only 22 and I just didn't feel like I had, it's not just about the qualifications of you kind of need life experience to know how to deal with people. And so I went through France, through Dubai, and after Dubai, I went to Spain and had a much better time as a second time as an au pair, working with
Okay.
a family. It was much better than the first time. I really enjoyed that. And then from there, I finally decided to do the teaching qualification. And then after I'd done that, moved to Italy.
Wow. Wow. That's like a
Okay.
very interesting path, going from here to there, all these different cultures that you got to experience,
Yeah.
like all completely
Yeah.
different. Which one was your favorite in terms of the culture, the location, and the
Mm-hmm.
new things that you got to live?
Yeah, so Dubai really doesn't have culture.
No?
No.
No, it's too new. It's like 40 years old. There's all these like massive hotels and massive houses, and I think it just doesn't really know what it's trying to be.
Mm. like a
And
teen
so I
movie.
didn't, yeah, I didn't really like it, you know. I had fun there, but I wouldn't say that I enjoyed like the culture.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Spain, I was in Gijón, which is in the north, and it was really, really nice. And so I met some girls there who were my age and doing the same thing as I did and having fun. But probably my favorite was France.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, when you just finally decided to go to Italy, what was it that took you across to Italy? And yeah,
Yeah. Well, I was looking for a job, so I just, got my teaching qualification, and I was looking for a job, and I thought, well, I've worked in France, I've worked in Spain, so I know what they're like. I wanted to stay in Europe because it was my first experience teaching. I didn't want to do what a lot of people do and like go to China or the Philippines or Thailand, like somewhere really far away. And I didn't want to go somewhere cold like Germany. I was like, all right,
right.
let's try
Yeah, yeah.
Italy. Why not?
Okay.
And so I sent my CV to all the schools that were looking. The problem was it was January, so like there weren't a lot of jobs available. And then a school got back to me and said they have a position for 5 months to cover a teacher that had left.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, 5 months, okay. Had an online interview, got up and like told my parents, okay, I'm moving to Italy in 2 weeks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I guess at that point they were kind of used to you moving around
Mhm.
country to country.
Yeah, no, that was like my modus operandi. It's like find somewhere to go.
Right.
Okay, pack my bag, let's go. And they're
Is
like,
that
okay,
common?
bye.
Like, for your family, do other relatives do that, or are you the only one with like this free spirit that
Free
wants?
spirit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the only one who kind of does it to this like extreme.
Wow, interesting. So was that part difficult to face either for you or your parents to like accept the fact that, well, my daughter's going away and it's gonna be, far from the family, or did they take it easily? Because that sometimes can be a struggle when people relocate, the
Yeah.
family connections, family relationships that um, can make us feel very, homesick sometimes.
Yeah, I think the first time, or maybe the first couple times, it might have been. But with studying French and Spanish, I think they kind of accepted that travel would be involved somehow in my lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So you studied French and Spanish. When you went
Yeah.
to Italy, did you speak any Italian?
No.
I thought that I
Yeah.
thought that might be the case.
Yeah. I had like I think it was about 2.5 weeks, and like between getting the job and moving to Italy. And so I moved to Italy on the 10th of January 2014. No, the second, sorry, the 2nd of January 2014. Um, and no, when I arrived, it was like, oh my gosh, it was terrible because where I live, like nobody speaks English. It's a small town, and there's not much English going around. And I always say that the first 3 things I learned were when you go to the supermarket, they will always ask you if you need a bag. They will ask if you have the loyalty card, and they'll ask you if you want like these little bonus stamps that they give so that you can like collect prizes. So I learned those, and it was always no, no, no. So I just made sure I took my bag with me. So I'm like, no, 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 don't need any of that. But when they threw me like another question, I'll be like, and just like stand there shaking my head, like, parlo italiano.
So funny.
Yeah, very good.
So right now you speak English, Spanish, French, and Italian, or
Yeah,
did you?
now I speak Italian.
Wow, wow, those are a lot of languages.
Yeah. Sometimes they get a bit confused in my head, and sometimes I can't remember a word in any of them, but it's just
That's what
That
happens.
happens.
what
I
Yeah.
think the
happens.
I think
Yeah.
the more languages we put in there, the more opportunity we have for forgetting words in all of them.
Absolutely.
Mixing
Yeah,
them up. Yeah.
it makes it fun.
Right. That's nice. So, are you planning to stay in Italy permanently, or do you have plans to go somewhere else? What's for the future?
Well, I mean, I've been here 10 years now.
Very
So I
Wow.
good.
went from 5 months. 10 years later, I'm still here.
Uh, Yeah,
And I actually run my own school, and now my school is for children and teenagers.
okay,
And so I
fantastic.
finally, yeah, I finally actually enjoy working with children and teenagers.
It takes a
Good.
while, but it's kind of
Hmm.
enjoyable. They are
Yeah,
fun. Once you
yeah,
get to learn how to deal with teenagers, they can be lots of fun.
yeah,
And they can teach you a lot
absolutely.
too. So, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some of the conversations that we have, I'm just like, this is why it really annoys me when like older generations talk badly about like the younger generations, and it's like, have you ever actually had a conversation with them? They're awesome. They're really cool people.
They are. They are. I agree. I taught teenagers for 5 years and I had a great time. It was very difficult, like you said in the beginning, very challenging, especially because when I started, I was, I mean, I wasn't as young as you were, but I was still younger than the rest of the teachers. So they
Mhm.
saw that difference, and I understand that struggle of them like not respecting you because they think you're an equal and they want to have control. They're more
Yeah,
than you,
Yeah.
yeah,
right? So
Yeah.
nice. All right.
So 10 years in Italy. The plan is to stay. Have you
yeah.
moved around Italy much, or are you in more or less the same place where you started?
I am in exactly the same town where I started.
Wow.
Uh, the only difference is that I brought my sister over as well.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
okay.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay. Good. So it's
That's
become a
so
family
good.
affair.
yeah. So she doesn't live in my town exactly, but she lives maybe about 10 minutes away from
All right.
When did she move there? How long ago did she move to Italy?
my town. Okay, so she actually moved about it was about 9 or 10 months after I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got her a job in a town. At that point, she was in a town that's about an hour away. And then yeah, since then she's just stayed, and she helps me out with the school because she also did her teaching degree.
Mm.
But her university degree was in animal behavior, and so now she is. Yeah, this is not like a real thing, but it is. She's setting up a cat sanctuary.
A
For,
cat
for cats.
sanctuary.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I want to
We
come
have
work there. Can I
we
come
have
and
cat
work there?
people.
Oh yeah, we're serious cat people.
Oh yes. That sounds like the perfect job. Even better than Disneyland. It's like working at a cat sanctuary.
Rotheo's a cat person too, so
Oh
you're in good company.
I'm an animal person. I love
You're,
all
yeah, an
animals, but
animal
yeah.
person. Mm.
yeah, me too. No, animals definitely, but cats are just like something else. And so yeah, I'm gonna do a shameless plug. If you want to find her, she's at Cats of Abruzzo. So Abruzzo is where we live, and she's at Cats of Abruzzo.
Yeah, cats are amazing. I actually just discovered my love for cats recently. I didn't like cats before, not as much as dogs. I was always a dog person, and then
Yeah.
just like a cat adopted me and brought
Yeah.
his entire family to my house. So now I'm surrounded by cats, and I absolutely love them.
That's how it starts.
Yes, yeah,
Exactly. That's how it starts. You get adopted by a cat.
you just did, Daniel, right?
I know. I've just been adopted by a cat as well. He's got his own house upstairs, but he's
No, they
insistent on
need more
coming
than
down and
one.
sit with me.
Yeah.
Ah,
Welcome to the club.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, they're
you can
amazing
try to
animals.
resist, but
Yeah, you can't resist for long.
yeah.
Oh my God.
So what does the future hold for you? You're going to stay where you are? What do you have any further plans? More travel?
Right now, yeah, just staying here.
Hmm.
I'm pretty settled.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of people from this town, they always wonder, why anyone would move here. They have a very, very negative
Oh
view of their
yeah.
town, which I think is just really sad because yes, okay, there are things wrong that could be better, but I don't think they understand that that is literally the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, there is no perfect place to live.
That's really interesting because I always get the same question. It's like, how on earth or why on earth is someone come you've come from New Zealand to here, to this town?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sure, it's an interesting question, but why not this town?
Yeah,
As good as any other town. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I have a question regarding that. So, like like Daniel mentioned, it happens a lot that locals don't really appreciate what they have,
yeah.
right? It happens here too. Like I'm from Costa Rica. When I moved to Guatemala, some people ask me, why would you come from Costa Rica to Guatemala? I guess some people consider it to be better. I don't necessarily agree. So in your case, what was the most surprising things in a positive way that you found in your new town?
Honestly, like, so people complain about lack of services and things here, but I've never had a problem with not being able to do something I wanted to do. Like, there is, okay, in the town itself, there's, like, in the center, there's not really a lot, like, the cinema is maybe 15 minutes away in a car, and it shows, like, current films, and it's not too expensive. There's a swimming pool. Sorry, a second, my student wants some water. And there's a swimming pool, and we can get to the beach in like 45 minutes by car. We can get to the mountains in half an hour by car. And it's just like a nice, like for me, it's a nice, calm, chill town.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't, but I think like a lot of people, if they were challenged on, okay, but what do you want? What more do you want? What is it that you feel the town doesn't have? I don't think they could actually tell you.
Mm.
It's just a mentality that a lot of the people have.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are things that need improvement, like public transport and stuff like that. But that's kind of the same everywhere now.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. Oh, all
Yeah.
right. Do you miss
I think
home?
Not really. I miss the
No?
people, but like, I don't really refer to Wales as my home anymore. It's where I come from, and I'm proud to be from Wales. But I wouldn't really consider it my home anymore. I mean, I haven't lived there really for 13 years.
Wow. Okay. Good.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting because we have this conversation just about every week. Yeah, about where home is now, and I'm a citizen of where exactly. So that's an interesting feeling.
I definitely feel like I don't fit in sometimes. Like, apart from my sister, my best friends here who I speak to like on a daily basis are two other British girls. So they don't live in my town. They actually live. Oh, one lives about an hour away. One lives about an hour and a half away. Um, but they're in a very very similar situation to me, where they're married to Italians, and so they live in Italy, and we get each other because we've all been through the same thing.
Right. That's also important, finding your support group, right? People that have been through similar situations that you can share the goods and the bads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that can be really hard, especially for adults, like finding a new group of friends.
yeah,
It can be really, really hard when you move to a place just to meet people and to create a natural connection. That can be really, really difficult, especially because obviously when you move to a place, your whole life experience is very, very different. Like, if you grow up in a completely different country, you're gonna have a completely different culture and a completely different outlook on life compared to the people that you encounter in your new town. And so it can be really hard to meet people where it just feels like, okay, we click, this is good.
yeah,
True.
yep.
Okay.
I can feel that.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay, Daniel. I think we're getting about ready
Yeah.
to wrap it up? Do you have any final questions? I do have one more question for Katrina, but you go
I
ahead
was
first.
gonna, I was gonna ask if Katrina, if you were talking to someone who was thinking of traveling abroad, thinking of maybe going and working as an au pair as you had, what sort of advice would you give that person?
Oh my gosh, being an au pair can be really, really hard. Um, you need to think hard about what you want to get out of it. You need to have, video chats with the family. Never go and be like an au pair just based off of messages. You need to see what they're like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you need to get it clear what they expect you to do. Um, um, what your duties will be. Um, Obviously, you have to remain flexible because you are living with their family, but you're also not supposed to be their slave, which is what happens. Not what happens, but what can happen
Yeah,
if you don't have these things clear. I would ask if they've had experience with au pairs before. Maybe if you can try and talk to some au pairs. Like for the second family, when I was in Spain, they gave me contact details for their au pairs before, and so they told me what it was really like, right? Because a family can seem absolutely wonderful, but they're obviously presenting themselves because they want you to go and work with them.
sure, sure.
Absolutely.
And so you have to
Good.
be really, really careful about
Do your
being an au
homework.
pair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
All right. Okay.
Good.
Well, my question is, as somebody that you once were a young teacher trying to work with teams, and that I know that that's something that a lot of people have to face when we start teaching. So, what advice would you give young new teachers that are especially going to start working with teenagers and maybe young children? What recommendations would you give?
Mm,
For the teenagers, you have to show them respect. Like you can't go in and act like you're the boss of them. You can do that maybe if you're older, but when you're younger, you need to make a connection, and you need to show them that you're there to help them and that you want to help. One of my biggest breakthroughs with one of my students was he's actually he was he's not a student anymore, but he's Albanian, and none of his teachers at school bothered to learn his name properly, and they would change his name so that it was easier for them to say. And so after our first lesson together, it was hard for me to say his name. I hadn't really understood it the first couple of times, but I had it written down. I went online and I searched for the correct pronunciation, and I just said it over and over and over and over. And the next day, he was giving me a bit of a hard time. And at one point, he just flippantly said, "Yeah, you don't even know my name." And I said it, and he just looked at me like, "Oh." And like from that moment, he just instantly changed. And
Wow.
so it's so important to learn your students' names, the correct pronunciation of their name, and don't change the name. Their name is their name.
True.
And you, as a teacher, you need to learn it and you need to show them respect, not just call them whatever you think they should be called.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much for
that's
sharing.
amazing. Yeah, that's a little goosebumps moment. Um, give people the respect they're due, and
Yeah.
a person's name is their name, and
Yeah.
that's a bare minimum. Yeah,
The thing is, I know how
absolutely.
it feels because living in France, they would call me Catherine. And
Yeah,
living in Italy, they call me Caterina. I'm like,
yeah,
really, my name's Katrina. It's not that hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
but so I know how he felt,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. True.
yeah. Good job.
Oh, okay.
Good
Well,
job.
thank you, Katrina, for sharing your
No, thanks for
story with
having
us.
me.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. It's been really lovely getting to know your story a little bit.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for watching and for supporting our channel. Remember to subscribe if you want to learn about more awesome people that we will continue to have as guests here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we will try to reply. And you can also follow us on social media. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.